High up in the Andes, there are still indigenous communities living in harmony with nature, in a way most of us have long forgotten. And there is this man, together with his team, who is carrying this legacy forward. His name is Virgilio Martinez, and he is one of the greatest chefs of our time. He has built an entire institution, working side by side with indigenous communities, researching and rediscovering forgotten ingredients. And that work extends into a restaurant that might be one of the most unique in the world.
Really mind-blowing.
But what did the Incas know that we don't? During our journey, we were given a glimpse into this nearly forgotten world. We saw how they live, what they can teach us, and we step into the world that most of us didn't even know still existed. Welcome to Peru. We are heading to the Sacred Valley, but first we have to get to Cusco. To get there, we need to fly southeast direction from Lima. It's about a 90-minute flight, and it lies 3,400 meters above sea level. It's already late in the night when we arrive, so we go to bed right away. And in the morning, the cultural lesson begins. I'm stoked. I suspect it's called the Sacred Valley for a reason. The atmosphere is beautiful and charming. Fresh air, soothing silence, breathtaking landscape. I can't find the words. Then our van arrives to take us to our first stop, Urubamba. This city is located on the southern part of Peru, in the Cusco region, within the Sacred Valley, between the city of Cusco and Machu Picchu, at 2,900 meters high. Roughly 20 to 25,000 people live here now. But it was already an important agricultural center back in the time of the Inca Empire. When we arrive, I realize pretty quickly that it's going to be something else.
Okay, be careful, man. Okay.
I have seen quite a lot of markets. I have been to Chinese, French, Portuguese, Arabic, Thai, Japanese markets, and so on. The one thing I found common in them is they are constantly buzzing. But still, this one feels different. Just look around. It's all rustic and real.
So we're actually in a very good season because actually the harvest of vegetable roots, corn, and some fruits actually coming from the Amazon are here.
You can sense some kind of indescribable energy and atmosphere.
I feel like happiness here.
Yeah.
I never feel it in a market. I have visited many markets and I really love the French one, but now I'm feeling something
Yeah, smell. You see?
beautiful.
Here in Peru, it's not easy to appear with Virgilio on your side. There is someone at every corner who wants to get a picture with him. He's kind of a national treasure here, the hero of the nation.
How much did you pay him?
It's now $10.
Now let's see what we can find here.
Okay, look at this giant corn. Well, it's not just about the size, it's so flavorful. Look at the shapes, you know. There's no like perfect carrots, you know, same sizes. No. Flour from cassava, from quinoa, from different potatoes, from corn. Look at these ones. Dry potato, all these kind of legumes.
You will find here the complete spectrum of the rainbow in vegetables and herbs. And there are many you might not have seen or didn't know they were Peruvian.
Why when we want to thicken the sauces, we can use toasted quinoa,
Beautiful.
maca, you know, like maca root.
But that's a really healthy one, right?
And now it's quite trendy everywhere. You know, if you go to fancy markets, you can see lots of maca. You know, these bubbles, they grow, they are algae, and they grow in the mountains, in the lakes.
We reach one of the most iconic parts of Peruvian cuisine, the potatoes. Basically, Peru is the original homeland of potato. There are more than 3,000 to 4,000 types here. Incredible numbers. so we can confidently say that Peru takes the lead in this matter.
This is the real rainbow, right? I think you can find every color here.
We are gonna get to know a lot about them later. But now, something happens I didn't see coming. I don't understand a single word in Spanish other than vamos. But judging by the lady's smile and the goats nearby, I suspect they are talking about tasting the freshest ingredient on the market. Before I could ask for a bit of a break to prepare, Virgilio is already in action. Yeah, he's a man who acts. Then he says the one word I know in Spanish.
Let's go. Vamos.
Okay.
At first, I was a bit nervous because, well, you know, I am being clumsy with the goat tits in my hand, a kind lady trying to tell me what to do. But let's be honest, this situation is screaming for a dirty joke. Meanwhile, I got pretty good at it. It started to pour like a river. Alright, more like a creek. A very slow, very narrow creek. After my attempts, the lady jumped in to save the day and showed how it's done by a real pro.
Okay, you are a bit better.
It's a profession, after all.
Really great. And bio.
It's good, you know, the first sip in the morning. Cheers.
This is really good. And with everything around me, here right now, I feel great.
I think it was like 30 years ago when last time I drink milk like that.
Really?
Yeah, maybe 35. When I was, and it was coming from a cow. So my grandma has like 4 cows and.
But goat milk isn't only good for drinking or making cheese. It is also a great ingredient for desserts. And we are about to try one. A cup of ice cream made of goat milk, here by hand.
I'm having an ice cream next to the milk shop. Delicious.
Now this is what I call 0-kilometer food.
It's really good. And the question is, Virgilio, do you use anything from here for your restaurants?
Normally the chefs, they come to this market, this is called Urubamba market, and they come at 5 in the morning to source most of the plants and medicinal plants, and then some of the new tubers that we're using on the menu. And then of course we have our ingredients up in the mountains.
Mountain as well.
Yeah.
This place is absolutely mind-blowing. But unfortunately, we got here a bit too late.
It's quite crowded. I mean, now it's a bit too late, and it's around 7 in the morning, and it's late. Yeah. But you know, these people, I mean, these guys, they go to bed at 7 at night, 8, and at 4:30, 5, they have everything already set, and the market opens. Vision of life is different here in the mountains. Very different to what we see in Lima. Not a Western, thinking.
Definitely not.
Yeah, this is about the Andes of Peru. People here is just still counting the money like this, and you pay in cash, and that's it. No papers, no nothing, no screens, not at all. Yeah. This market has been working like this for 100 years. Let's go, vamos.
To truly understand the roots of Peru, we need to go back in time for a moment. Or back to 1400 BC, to the rise of the Inca Empire, when they were one of the biggest and most advanced cultures of the world. Their road system is one of the best examples of their greatness. It connected the empire over more than 40,000 kilometers, through mountains, deserts and jungles. Their engineering knowledge was ridiculously genius. To this very day, there are still unsolved mysteries about their structures, not to mention their agriculture, which adapted brilliantly to these lands. The Incas not only produced food, but experimented with the land. They observed the microclimates, the temperature differences, and the behavior of the soil. One of the most remarkable examples of this is Morai. And that's exactly where we are heading at the moment.
So, what you see here is like we have our lab is there, next to the restaurant, and then we have this ancestral pre-Incas lab.
Morai is an archaeological site within the Sacred Valley, and it is known for its unique circular shape. In Quechua, they call it muyu. It has 4 muyus, and the main and most important one is this big one. So what is it and how did it work? Let me show you. In this circular hall, there are 12 terraces going downwards, about 2 meters differences per terraces. As we are moving south, the climate is constantly changing. At the bottom is warmer and more humid, at the top obviously colder and drier. The lower levels simulated the foggy woods around Cusco. The mid-levels, the warm and dry climate of the Sacred Valley. And the top ones simulated the mountain environments of the Andes. This is where the Incas brought the plants from the different regions, and they made them used to the new heights and weathers. Then they observed where they survived and stayed viable, where they bloomed, developed, and brought crops. Then they took the good seeds from here and took it to the centers of the empire, where the mass production could begin.
Nowadays, this is not working anymore, so we want to replicate something like this in these different elevations.
The energy that surrounds this place is something incredibly special. Can't describe it. This is something you gotta experience to understand.
I am here and I feel that I'm a little bit speechless.
Yeah, I just love to come here like once a week. This air and the whole energy, something different.
But enough about the wandering. We have still got plenty to learn today. Our next stop is the Meal Central, one of the most fascinating restaurants on the planet. By the end of this video, you will understand everything. It's a bit like being in school, because before lunch we have to study a bit. It's a research restaurant, so it's kinda different from the ones we are used to. As soon as we arrived, I sensed some kind of pleasant scent. And it stayed with us ever since. I love it. Then we meet a kind young gentleman, and the deadlock finally breaks.
I watch all his videos.
Please ask me to have a picture because everybody's asking him.
this.
Everybody's asking
Okay,
him.
now you have a fan. Yeah, you have a
Finally,
fan. Yeah,
finally.
You found a fan.
What is the smell?
Palo Santo. That's a wood we burn it, so you have a nice aroma there.
Okay.
We meet our guide, Maribel, who is gonna be our guide in the following hours.
So today we're gonna be going to the community of Cajiaracay. It's one of the communities that we work with.
I bet you have never heard that a modern restaurant is working with indigenous communities. Meal Centro is working closely with the native Peruvian communities. Told you, this is not your typical everyday restaurant. On one side, these people teach generations of knowledge about plants, seasons, and living along with the land. On the other side, the researchers of meal extend this knowledge with today's views and interpretations. This is how tradition and contemporary philosophy shape the dishes together. So we are going to meet people from these communities and see what a day looks like in their lives.
Sí, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están?
His name is Cleto, and he is from the Cajiaracay community. Sorry if I misspelled it.
Vamos a empezar tomando chicha. Chicha es un fermento.
What he's about to show us is the chicha, the ancestral fermented corn drink of Peru. Just like potatoes, corn has a lot of types here.
Type of corn that we use to prepare chicha de jora is the small one, that is pucuto. This is small size corn that grows up these mountains and that concentrates more sugar. And to concentrate more sugar of this corn, we're gonna germinate it. Chicha is the base for all the work in the field. Without chicha, we cannot work in the field.
Before drinking, they always offer a few drops to Mother Earth and the mountain spirits, or in the Quechua language, Pachamama and the Apus. It's a kind of ritual mutuality. We give before we get. It tastes slightly sweet and mildly sour because of the fermentation.
So then today we're gonna be learning about the medicine as well in the Andes. This is olluco.
It's a fresh plant, and for example, if you have a toothache, you take a slice of it, put it on your cheek, and it relieves the inflammation. This purple one is a tuber.
There are different varieties of this one. The dark one, it's medicinal. It's really spicy.
Nice, interesting texture, really fresh, and also very juicy.
Yes, it's like horse dish. Beautiful heat.
So whenever you cook this one, it's really, really sweet.
Esto es la quinoa.
Quinoa originally comes from the Altiplano within Bolivia and Peru. Whenever we were kids, our mom will be cooking different textures of quinoa. That's why probably nowadays we don't get sick easily.
You know, the people here have guinea pigs, alpacas, and sheep. A lot of meat, if you think about it, yet they don't eat meat that much. Meat here is mostly for special occasions. Still, you gotta get some protein from time to time. This is when this little superfood enters the picture.
So then tarwi, it's family of lupins, all right? So it's really bitter. This tarwi contains more than 17% of protein. So it's a superfood as well, okay?
I won't say I feel like a true researcher, but I gotta say this is really exciting so far and I enjoy myself very much.
Sí, en la casa, en la casa.
We say a big thank you to Cleto and move on to the next stop, where we meet a new face.
Let me introduce to John Checa. It's the agronomist and he's the leader of the Chakra project.
As Virgilio mentioned before, they are replicating the work of More as well.
In Peru, we have more than 3,000 varieties of potatoes, and in the Chakra, we have around 180 varieties of potatoes. So the idea of this project is that we can get different varieties from different parts or regions, and then we can grow at this level, and then be gift to the communities so they can provide to the restaurants.
And here we can see some of the potatoes they grow right here. Different sizes, shapes, and colors. We already saw at the market how many varieties exist here.
So actually the pigments of the potatoes depends on the altitude where it grows. And the soil also is very important for the pigments. So if we grow these potatoes at these mountains, the colors will be more intense than this. But if we grow that one in the Sacred Valley, they will lose the antioxidant and the pigments.
I have tried several types around the world, but these are different, especially compared to the ones at home in Europe.
This is beautiful. Look at the color. It's a little bit juicier than the normal potato.
Yes. Do you think you can peel this one?
Yes.
Actually, this potato is a test in the communities.
Really?
It is. If the woman wants to get married, she must peel the potato. If she cannot peel, so she's done. She cannot get married. And the skin must not break.
So it's with one go?
Yes.
No.
You already break it. That's why they call cachuwakachi. It means making cry to the daughter-in-law.
Meanwhile, we have bumped into Virgilio, and I proudly tell him what I have learned. And I also gave him a pro tip.
If you want to have a great recipe, this is just an idea for you.
Chef.
You know me, I have where I can. Our next guide will be Florinda. This wonderful lady walks here every day for about 40-45 minutes. And today she will introduce some special plants to us. This thing on the side of the road is called cherche.
Cherche is a Quechua word and means flirty because the women in the Andes, they were used to paint their lips. It has a lot of pigments and antioxidants. It's the fruit of the Andes because around here we don't have bananas, peaches, oranges. So the kids, when they go to the field, they will start eating wild fruits. The bark also it's medicine. So we eat a lot of cherche, the berries, so we're gonna start having toothache. So we can have the bark of these and start chewing. So it will work like anesthesia.
Everywhere I step, I see something wide, or at least wide by their look. But I already know we are going to stop there and learn that it's used for something.
So the heat in the Andes is really strong, so the women's prevent by this way.
Okay, I need to try this. I can't believe you.
Let's try some worm plants. Sounds good, right? Marco is a very strong aromatic plant full of essential oils.
Marco, we're gonna use to preserve our potatoes.
Oh.
Once we harvest the potatoes, we cover with these plants such as muña and marco, and they will preserve longer. Also, these aromatic herbs will keep away the bugs and insects from the potatoes.
How clever.
Yeah.
To me, it's simply amazing how versatile one single plant can be. And I grew up on a farm, so let's say I am more experienced in these things than most. But this here is something totally different. And if we are already mentioned muña, Let's taste it too.
Muña is considered the Andean mint because of the minty flavor, but it's family of oregano. Real good for digestion, stomach aches, altitudes.
It's mint, it's basil, it's everything.
Yes.
Beautiful flavors. They use it in soups and, as I mentioned before, preserving potatoes.
And actually, some mummies in archaeological sites were found stacked with muña leaves.
These worm plants are useful, but you can't consume much of them. You will get inflammation. This one then, this citrus-looking fruit, is called tumbo. It is actually a banana passion fruit and it is native in the Andes in Peru.
It contains a lot of vitamin C, fiber, and is digestive.
Around here, it's used for uchucuta and Peru's iconic dish, ceviche.
So it's really acidic and in a way you can sense the melon.
We are getting close to meal, our final destination for today. Actually, we are already here. But first, one little detour. This is a place where some of the finest yarns are made by hand.
Amigo, buenos días.
Buenos dias.
They are Virginia and Modesta. They are coming from the community of Cajalaracay. Also, they come like 1 hour walking away. And on the way, they will be collecting plants and botanics to dye during the day.
Now there are only 2 ladies here, but in total there are 16 who used to work here. If you know something about Peruvian textiles, then you know they use alpaca and sheep wool for making yarns.
She's doing the first thread out of the sheep wool. So here they work with sheep wool only, not with alpaca. Alpacas are more than 4,000 meters above sea level. So yeah, it's hard to take care about the alpacas.
I am fascinated. The way they make threads, how their hands move. It seems so easy. But behind those delicate movements, there is a lifelong knowledge. But how does it connect to meal? Well, it's simple. It's about preserving a tradition. You know, in today's world, we used to machine-made clothes. This here is a thing that being extinct, and this way they can preserve this tradition. But as this kind lady points out,
But you know, the thing that has more value is the things that made by hand.
couldn't agree more. And now our final destination, meal. This place is amazing. Everything we saw outside concentrates here in this one building. We start at the bar. Let's see those herbs in action. The first one is a wine from Cusco, infused with something we know very well by now, Marco. The wine itself is nice, fresh, acidic. But the flowers make it more, how should I say it, stronger and also sweeter. The next we try is an infusion of Peruvian roots. Some chichiamali and some reduction of corn husk and cabuya. You can guess only by the ingredients that it has an earthy aroma.
And because of these earthy notes, my brain is connected to beetroot. I'm blind, I would say beetroot.
But it's also mildly sweet. It's a nice drink and it's actually alcoholic. The third one is even more earthy than the previous one. It has been refreshed with some herbs and it is balanced out with some cacao.
On the nose, that's the most beautiful. Oh my God.
It is meant to clean our palates and it is very refreshing indeed. It does the job perfectly. Then we move on to the dining area. The design perfectly resembles the theme and the landscape. It's rustic, pure, but also set up with great care. There are different scents and aromas floating in the air. Fresh, interesting, and very pleasant. I enjoy this very much. It is so peaceful and different, similar to what I felt in Central. We will have a lunch menu here, with 6 savory courses and 2 sweets. We are served our first drink, which is made of tumbo and cabuya.
This is my title drink.
It's beautiful. Well, this is definitely special. Just look at that. Such a simple thing, but so many details organized with great care. And it can be thought about literally everything else on the table.
The level of the details practically everything, and the craftsmanship is just really, really mind-blowing.
So our first bites arrive.
Here's our first moment, preservation.
First of all, I love this gentleman very much. He sets the vibe.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much.
We have a couple of things on the table. First, potato stems. Then we have chaplas. It is traditional dough made with cocoa leaf flour, stuffed with oca and tuber. With them we have elderberry butter, which sounds really exciting. We also have some potato chips. Then last but not least, uchucuta, a traditional chili sauce. It's made with wild cherry potatoes and spread on potato dough. The potato stem is very earthy, salty, and has a natural light sweetness too. Beautiful. You know how I feel about bread and butter. Even when it's so different from what I'm used to, this is still unbeatable. The chili sauce is also very exciting, especially because I feel the herb notes here and there.
Super interesting, because we already tried those.
It's pleasantly spicy and has a sharp acidity. Very, very nice. I am simply amazed by how much work goes into these beautiful utensils. I know I talk about them a lot, but honestly, just look at that. Our next drink is made of kampur and carob tree. With this, we are going to the highlands. The main attraction is lamb, but we have a couple of things on the side. Cocoa sour cream, kuchuro, which is an algae from the highland altitudes, chirimoya, or custard apple on the common tongue, and kaniva, which is a type of quinoa.
For this moment, we suggest to taste them individually and highly recommend to mix them all in the vessel in front of you.
I had the smell of this white flower. It's like jasmine notes. Beautiful.
I love how everything we tried on the road comes back here in some form. Most of the flowers, scents, and flavors are clearly recognizable. All of the elements are already good on their own.
So we have the meaty, we have the florally, we have the acidity, and we have this crunchy element here.
Now let's see how they work together. Yeah, as I expected, it's wonderful.
You feel that maybe this is the freshest bite you have ever had in a restaurant.
Next up is a 24 up red wine. It's from 2,800 meters elevation. The aroma is nice, it's very fruity. They say there is a first to everything. Well, I am about to taste alpaca for the first time in my life.
We have the alpaca cooked under slow fire for over 14 hours. Alpaca rib, farm lettuce, and we have tomato textures on a Palo Santo egg yolk charcoal.
Okay, I am officially blown away. I have been here before, but it has changed a lot. When Virgilio asks, what do I feel?
I feel huge progress since my last visit.
Happy to hear that.
Huge progress.
The alpaca meat is weird in a good way. Can't describe the flavor properly, but it's slightly smoky, a bit chewy, and there is a pleasant sweetness in it. This thing with flowers on top, it seems like a light dish.
Under the florals, there are beautiful rich flavors.
It's an alpaca stew, strong, dark, rich, but it's balanced out with these fresh petals.
Technically, you have a stew, which is hot, and then you made a salad with some smoky elements and sweetness as crunchiness. And you mix together two different temperature, two different flavor profile. I haven't eaten anything like this.
They also prepare a wet towel for this, since you are supposed to use your hands. And again, another familiar scent hits my nose.
When we smell this
Muña.
The muña, the mint of the Andes, which we tried before.
art, culture, and gastronomy combined together and elevated to perfection.
Our next drink is on the way with Virgilio on its side.
So you know what he does? He toasts the husk of the corn, as you can see here, and then you put very cold water, and then you infuse for one night. That's the result.
Crazy.
It's like this kind of explosion, and so intense, but in the end very light. We'll see.
We continue the meal with another Peruvian icon, corn.
So we're using 100% of this corn. We are using 4 varieties of corn from our harvest, last month harvest, and you will find all these different colors, textures, and we use the skin, we use the very meaty parts, then we use the husk, and we use the inside part of the corn, and then you make a butter out of the creamy part, like the juice, like the milk coming out of the corn. But it's fresh, you know. We squeeze the corn fresh, and we get all this juicy, milky corn. Enjoy.
It's official, he is crazy.
Wonderful flavors. I don't know if they use anything else for this, but it's clearly about the corn. It is very characteristic. The next drink is oxalis.
That's the first drink I don't really like.
It's acidic, a little bit bitter. It doesn't mean it's not good. It's just not for me. With the next dish, we are going to celebrate the harvest of potatoes. I love the presentation here, and if I understand it correctly, they use the same soil to cook them, which they have grown in. Then we have some dips, so it's like an ancient party food. We also have charred pumpkin, cooked the same way with some herbs. It is as simple as it sounds, and it doesn't even have to be more. Pure, strong flavors. I am a huge fan of potatoes anyway, so with a bit of charcoal and salt, it's perfect. Not to mention the dips on the side, which are crazy good. A meat course arrives. This will be the duck, I suspect. On one plate there is mushroom covered by Siciliano. It's a vegetable from the valley. On the other side is a salad made from avocado and crispy tarwi. In the middle there are 3 pieces of dough, all made from the same tarwi and covered with dried duck meat.
The recommendation here is to start with the black rock, with the spoon.
Huge umami flavors.
Then the dough with your hands and eat it in 1 or 2 bites.
The dry duck is very intense, strong. I love it.
It's really different what I was expecting.
So far, I don't even know how to describe the experience. I would usually use the good old beautiful, but this is way more than that.
You see, it's something unique, but since I was making this coloring process just like 3 hours ago, you know, it's just...
We arrived at the dessert part.
I just read quail, muña, tuber ashes, and I have no idea. I literally have no idea what it's going to be.
The first one is called Frozen Cordillera.
In front of you we have the yacon. It is a sweet root in different textures. Across the table we have pushcay, muña, and pampanís ice.
Wonderful dessert. Everything in it tells you about the land.
It's really different than most of the dessert I have ever tried in my life.
The next and last one is a showcase of cacao's textures. We have a spaghetti-like variation and an infusion, a crumble that resembles the nibs, and a circle-like meringue with a foamy mousse beneath it.
Beautiful expressions.
And with that, we reach the end of this very special journey. It's time to say goodbye and sum up how I feel right now. These days, simply cooking good food for the guest sometimes is just not enough. That's why so many restaurants try to tell stories about themselves. Louder stories, bigger stories, more extreme, more spectacular, more outrageous. What we saw here today is also a story. The crucial difference is that this one is real. There is a huge amount of work behind it, and let's be honest, this is not the easiest path to run a restaurant. For them, this is not just branding, it's a mission. Here the story is reality. When you come here, you don't just experience a restaurant, you experience history, culture, and legacy. All of it happening right there, in the place where it truly belongs. The people working here alongside Virgilio have decided their lives to making this visible to the world. That does it for this episode. Thank you for joining me. If you like this video, hit subscribe. See you next time.
You can call me stupid. Yes, you can call me sheep.